It's summertime, and obviously there's many things we can do in Northeast Ohio in the summer that we can't do in the winter. I have a good friend who's in his 60s, and he's an actual cyclist, bicycling, and he loves doing it. And I've just been amazed through the years that he's done that regularly, along with other kind of exercise that's helped him to be vital, spirited, loving the outdoors, the adventure of it all. And so I want to say something, read something that actually came from the internet. I don't know who wrote it. This one is called Bicycling with God. Now, thinking of my friend who's a cyclist, I'm going to, at the conclusion of this, tell you the rest of the story, which ties in with this reflection, kind of. You'll see what I mean. It's called Bicycling with God, and I think it's meant to be an image, a parable for every one of us in terms of our relationship with God, our relationship with life, our openness and trust to whatever comes our way. Bicycling with God. At first, I saw God as my observer, my judge, keeping track of the things I did wrong so as to know when I benefited and merited heaven or hell when I die. He was out there kind of like the president. I recognized his picture when I saw it, but I didn't really know him. But later on, when I recognized my higher power, it seemed as though life was rather like a bike ride. But it was a tandem bike, and I noticed that God was in the back helping me pedal. I don't know just when it was that he suggested we change places, but life has not been the same since. Life with my higher power, that is. God, the loving, exciting presence in my life. When I had control, I knew the way. It was rather boring, but predictable. It was the shortest distance between 2 points. But when he took the lead, he knew delightful long cuts up mountains and through rocky places and at breakneck speeds. It was all I could do to hang on. Even though it looked like madness, he said, pedal. I worried and was anxious and asked, "Where are you taking me?" He laughed and didn't answer, and I started to learn to trust. I forgot my boring life and entered into the adventure. And when I said, "I'm scared," he leaned back and touched my hand. He took me to people with gifts that I needed, gifts of healing, acceptance, and joy. They gave me their gifts to take on my journey, our journey, God's and mine, and we were off again. He said, "Give the gifts away. They're extra baggage, too much weight." So I did, to the people we met. And I found that in giving I received, and still our burden was light. I did not trust him at first, in control of my life. I thought he'd wreck it, but he knows bike secrets, knows how to make it bend to take sharp corners, jump to clear high rocks, fly to short and scary passages. And I am learning to shut up and pedal in the strangest places. But he knows bike secrets, knows how to make it bend to take sharp corners, jump to clear high rocks, fly to short and scary passages. And I am learning to shut up and pedal in the strangest places. And I'm beginning to enjoy the views and the cool breeze on my face with my delightful constant companion, my higher power. And when I'm sure I just can't do any more, he just smiles and says, pedal. Okay, that's the reflection. This was one of the favorite ones that I gave to my buddy that he has enjoyed reflecting upon in his years as a cyclist. Now is the rest of the story. A couple months ago, he got in a serious accident on his bike, went over the bike and landed in such a situation that he cracked a couple ribs. He had a couple twists and turns on his back. He had to spend a little time in the hospital. And he was saying, "Hey, I thought I was bicycling with God. Why did that happen?" You know, this story says, if you let God lead, everything will work out. And we talked about that. And it was interesting. I certainly understood what he meant, but I said, you know what? That story isn't just meant to be taken literally. That story tells us that when we think we're in control and we have everything going the way we want it to, yeah, God, yeah, you're helping us have this control. This says, let go of control. Even as the cyclist, let go, ironically, of thinking you'll never get hurt, you'll never get injured. he had to come to realize, and as we talked about it further, it hit him. He had been resentful, he had been negative, he was told he probably couldn't bicycle again. But then as he reflected back on it, and we talked, and he had been praying anyway, he saw, you know what? God was at work in that. God didn't cause me to wreck. He said, I did that myself. But God has now worked in it to help me go from being resentful because life isn't the way I wanted it to be, especially cycling, to say, no, Lord, if I trust you and you're the leader and you're the source of my adventure, you may take me in new ways and new directions. Without cycling, I don't need to give up on the adventure that is life and on the presence that you are to bring good even out of all the difficult situations. Even when I wrecked my bike and maybe in some way wrecked a little bit of my ego and said, yep, Lord, you're right. I'm not God, you are. Something good for all of us to hear. God bless you during this summertime adventure.